Good form on that one.
Yeah, that
Look
there.
at this.
Any of you fine fishermen, still old school crappie fishermen, do y'all spider rig and troll? Well, this one's for you, baby. We finna go over these right here. Double minnow rigs. This right here. This ain't a double minnow rig. That's just a pool noodle is all that is. But it's what I use to wrap my minnow rigs around to keep them organized. It's pretty handy. I don't know, it costs 50 cents or $1 for these, and you get a bunch of them out, and you can wrap 8 or 10 minnow rigs around them, hold them in place. They'll get loose every now and then. You got to retighten them. It ain't no big deal. But let's get to the meat and bones, or the meat and potatoes, I guess you would say. Not the meat and the bones, meat and the potato. Double minnow rig. Ow! I just got that something going in my finger, Jack. All right, look right here. Here's a double minnow rig. Plain and simple. I don't know if y'all can see it good or not. Really simple. It starts off, it's got a 3-way swivel up here at the top. Then you got a little leader right there with a hook on it, a light wire hook. I use a number 2 most of the time. Then you come down here where you have more, and then you put your weight right down here, about, I don't know, 6-8 inches above your hook. You just wrap that weight around there and run down here to another. I use a number 2 light wire. If I'm in Grenada, sometimes I'll go up to a number 1, just in bigger fish, using a little bit bigger bait. But most of the time, it's a number 2 size light wire hook's all it is. I like them gamakatsus because they razor sharp. But let's get down to it. Here's the rundown on double minnow rigs. The lighter the line, the more bites that you're going to see and the more bites you're going to catch. Not necessarily this main line, but part of the main line is your bottom leader here. So keep that in mind too, unless you want to put another swivel of any kind, anything like that. I do have some made up like that. But here's one way to think about it. The lighter the line, just for say for these droppers or these leaders right here, the easier it is for that bait fish, that minnow, to swim around. That little old minnow has to work a whole lot harder swimming and dragging around 12, 15, 20 pound tests than he does just say 6 pound test. And I'm going to be honest with you, 6 pound mono will pick up a lot more than what you think it will. But that'll help you. And another thing about this, and that's as a whole too, light line don't drag near as much in the water when you're pushing, so your rig won't kite back on you. Light line cuts the water better, so you can move around a little bit easier on that. But light line, time in, time out will get you more bites. Good Lord, I can't talk today. Get you more bites day in, day out. You're going to be able to see them better. The presentation from the minnow is going to look 100 times better because it looks more natural. That's why you want a light wire hook. That way that minnow can swim freely. A lot of the ones you get pre-made come with a big heavy gauge hook, and they come with 20 pound test. And some of them don't. Some of them come with 10 pound test, but a lot of them come with 15, 20 pound mono up here. Well, that minnow ain't that free. The only time that I would say that your line size don't really matter is when you're power trolling for crappie. Then the only thing that it would really matter would be just it dragging back in the water because it's a bigger diameter. So the faster you go, the more it's going to, pull back with you in the water. But any other time, and I don't really power troll that much. I like to slow troll when I double minnow rig, or when I used to all the time. I got the live scope now, and that's all I want to do. And which I love. For about a year, I would live scope with my minnow rig, and it's really, really effective doing that. Just don't think that you got a one pole fish, cast to them, or drop down with them with live scope. No, sir. No, ma'am. You can live scope with minnow rigs too, and I tell you something else handy about minnow rigging with a live scope. You can check all your baits and make sure your minnows there without picking your pole up out of the water. But anyhow, let's get back down to it. Light line, lighter the line, the more free, the better the presentation that your bait will be to the fish, the more bites you're going to get. Second thing, and this is one of the most important parts too, the weight. The lighter the weight, the more bites that you're going to see 100%, and more than likely that you're going to hook up with. The only time I'll use a really heavy weight on here is when I'm power trolling, and what I call a heavy weight is anything an ounce or bigger is pretty heavy for me. I'll use that when I'm power trolling. If I'm fishing extremely deep, 30, 40 foot, I might go up, and that's rare ever, I might go up to an ounce. But most of the time, anything that's over, just say, 13 or 14 feet, the biggest I'm going to go is a 3/4 ounce. That's the heaviest I really want to use for slow trolling. Power trolling, of course, heavier weight because you're going faster. But if I'm fishing deep, anything over 13, 14 feet deep, 3/4 ounce is plenty for me. You can still see the bite. Believe it or not, You think about it like this. It's a lot easier for that crappie or whatever to lift up a little old half-ounce sinker than it is a 1-ounce sinker. If it picks your bait up and comes up, you know, or it runs with it, it can move a lighter bait better than it can move a heavier bait. So lighter baits will indeed mean more bites. I guarantee you. And another thing, they'll hold on to it longer because they don't feel the bait. They don't feel the resistance. When they get a bite, they don't feel that tugging back to them near as fast as they would as if you had a heavier weight and then they try to run. Well, they'd feel that and they gonna skedaddle. So go with a lighter weight. I promise you this will help you. I'm gonna tell you my all-time favorite weight when I'm double minnow rigging. Are you ready for this? 1/4 ounce. That is my all-time favorite. Now, I don't push these fast. I don't do nothing crazy with them. I like to slowly just drift around, ease around with a 1/4 ounce weight. Buddy, they will pick it up, run with it, not even know they got it, and you can just light them up, snatch on them, son. If I had to pick one size, I'm going to say, this is hard. If you only had one size weight to fish with your entire life, I would probably say a 3/4. I don't really like 3/4 ounce weights, but if I could only pick one, I'd pick 3/4 because you can fish deeper. And when you get up shallower with less line out, you can power troll with, I say power troll, you can push a 3/4 weight almost a mile an hour when you're in shallow water and don't have much line out. But the more line you put out, the more weight you have to add because of the drag, and it'll pull it back underneath your boat. You don't want that. You want your rigs going straight up and down. That's the rundown about the weight. Also, when you're fishing brush, I like to cut this. Now, I'm talking about heavy cover. Any kind of cover, brush, stump, stuff like that. I like to make this later. I make my own double minnow rigs too, by the way, just because that's just the way I am. I like to cut this down. Sometimes I won't have 3 inches or so of that leader coming out there, just because if you don't have as much line, then that minnow right there can't swim around and wrap itself up and get it all hung up, and then you're going to be in a tussle. But I will say this. When you get in it, that's one good thing about minnow rigging with light wire hooks. When you do get hung up in it, pull it out and then just bend your hook back in. It's no big deal. But for the most part, when I'm fishing heavy cover, I'll pull that down. I won't run but 3 or 4 inches. Maybe not even that. Just something to keep it close to the main line so that minnow can't wrap around brush down there and get you hung up near as bad. Because when them crappies get to chasing them, they're going to run like a devil, I promise you. But that'll help you fishing in brush. Now, when I get out there in open water, I'll put a, I don't know, 6, 8 inch little leader on there. That son gonna get to swimming around and doing his thing, jipping, japping, and all that. He'll get after it. And here's another thing about double minnow rigs. The deeper water that I fish, the more the spread that I make this from the top hook to the weight, I'll increase this length the deeper the water I am. That way I can cover more of the water column, if you know what I mean. And just kind of a rundown on the weight size, what I like to use, anything less than, I'm going to say 6 foot of water, 99.9% of the time, I'll use a 1/4 ounce double minnow rig. The next one, I'm going to say from 6 to 12 foot, I'm going to use a 1/2 ounce. And I really like 1/2 ounces. That was almost my pick for if I could only have one weight forever. 1/2 ounce would almost take the cake on that one. But it really, it's going to need to be a 3/4 in case you do have to get deep. But I'm going to say anything from 6 foot to 12 foot, go with you a 1/2 ounce double minnow rig. Now, this ain't talking about power trolling. You need heavy weight to do that because you go fast. This is just slow double minnow rig, spider rig and trolling, whatever you want to call it. Up to 6 foot, go with a 1/4 ounce. 6 foot to 12 foot deep depth of water, go with a 1/2 ounce. I'm going to say 12 foot to, you can get by with it at 20. But I'd say 12 foot to, 18 foot or so, go with a 3/4. And then as you get deeper, increase that weight size. I don't like to do that just because I don't like fishing that deep unless I absolutely have to. And sometimes you have to. But I hope this helps a few of y'all out about them minnow rigs. I like to make my own, but I mean, you can buy your own double minnow rigs already pre-tied up. I know Jinko Fishing sells some, B&M sells some, Mr. Crappie sells some. A lot of people sell these double minnow rigs pre-made. You don't have to do it. But I'm just a geek, I guess, a fishing geek, and I like to make my own because I can make them to my specifications. And if y'all got any questions about that, be sure to holler at me down there in the comments, and I'll try to answer it the best I can, teach you what little I know about them, but that's a rundown on them, and I'm going to put this back on my old pool noodle, and I'm going to get back after it. I hope y'all had a great day. If you don't mind, hit that old like and subscribe. I sure would appreciate it. Y'all keep snatching on them, baby.